Hello everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe. People of Earth, welcome to a brand new build. Today is very special and sort of tugs at my heartstrings a little bit. A little while back, my friend Sean Homer, who owns 8K Miniatures, more about that a little later, shared with me his incredible print of a Robert James created file for the Pheonix from First Contact. I jumped at the chance of building it. And so that is the build for this episode. And I'm pretty excited about it for a whole bunch of reasons, but most importantly because the designer of this incredible piece of machinery is none other than John Eves. And John and I worked together on Sequest. Talk about 6 degrees of separation. Now, John has a book out called John Eves, The Art of John Eves, Star Trek. It's a beautiful book. If you don't have it, I recommend you go and get it. And Joe Nazaro was the co-author of this, or the person who penned it with him. But it's all of John's art, and it's absolutely extraordinary. And of course, we have this incredible piece of machinery that happens to be on page 59, for those of you who are following along on the play sheet, as it were. But look, I've opened it to page 59, and look what we've got. And it's absolutely awesome. I couldn't put this book down. I've been through it several times. Oh, what a talent. But I wanted to quickly just read this to you because I think it's worth it. It says that the designs of Zefram Corchran's ship, the Pheonix, were originally quite different. The direction changed when Herman came in and said to me, "We're going to use the Titan Missile Museum in Arizona, so it has to fit in that space," which was only 10 to 12 feet across. We'd come up with the idea of the nacelles being attached to the body that were in line, so they didn't come out. At this point, Herman said, "What if the ship has a couple of cavities with the nacelles inside them? When the ship comes out, the nacelles are on retractable arms and they open up. Then it's ready for the warp test." We also had to come up with an idea for a braking system. And after devising a complicated system of multiple elements, I decided it was better to keep those elements to a minimum. I was out in Arizona at a little outdoor restaurant called the Cook Shack, and I came up with an idea, which I drew on a napkin for a scenario where the ship is like a ship within another ship, with an arched frame holding the whole thing together. The film Fat Man and Little Boy had just come out, and a friend of mine was working on the film. So he showed me some of the drawings they did for the bomb's atomic trigger. I liked the circular segmentation with all these little triggers that all had to go off at once. I thought it would be cool if that was how the warp ship worked, where you had all these segmented triggers around it, which was the warp initiator, and all of them had to tie together to make the warp process work. In the final scenario, the thruster has those segmented pieces, which is the warp trigger that feeds through the struts to the nacelles. And so we have this incredible design. And I just think the whole thing is pretty spectacular. So I'm really excited to dive in. Okay, so first of all, information about Robert James, the artist who designed this incredible 3D print, and information about Sean Homer's 8K miniatures will all be in the description below this build. And I'll also put up some slides at the conclusion of this when we do our beauty shots and final thoughts. But let's dive in. Now, I understand from Sean that this this kit is going to be available in several ways. Now, you can go to Robert James's website or his Facebook page, and again, I'll give you all of that information, so you don't have to take notes. Or you can reach out to Sean at 8K Miniatures, and you can order the kit, which will include the price of paying for the actual files, which obviously will go to Robert, and you know he will print it for you and send you, I think, possibly a thumb drive, but he'll get you your files. So you'll have your files and you'll have your print. I just think that, you know, that is worth every penny, because if you don't have a printer, that's the way to go. If you do have a printer, I hope you can reach the quality that he can. I have 2 printers. I've been playing with mine for over a year now, and I'm getting better and better, but nowhere near the caliber and the quality of this gentleman's prints. So, without further ado, let's dive in. What I thought I would do is just sort of go through it page by page so we can look at all of the various different elements. I think that's probably the best way to do it. So you get a set of instructions, obviously, and on page 1, the first thing he wants you to do is identify, and we're starting with the rear of this thing. So so if you are looking at an image of the Pheonix, we're not in the nose where the cockpit is, obviously. We're at the very rear, and we're going to work our way forward. That's how we're sort of doing this. Okay, so here is this piece, and there are cones that go with it. Here are the cones. I'm not going to pull everything out, but they go in all of these slots here, and that looks like that. Beautiful detail on this. So there's cones for that, and then of course there are these struts that also will attach to the sides of these. So you get this very complex kind of you'll get this very complex system for the rear of that. So that is your page 1. Now, as we're going along here, well, let me show you here on the second page of your. This is what it should look like when it's together. So I love the simplicity of this and the clarity of this. So that's terrific. Then on page 3, we're starting to get into we're sort of moving further up the body of the ship here, right? So this is still the rear, and then we're going to work this way towards the cockpit, if that makes sense. So you'll need this rod, and you will need this piece here, and the way this works is, which is very clever, this rod slides in, and it's going to allow us to support the other pieces. The first piece up is this plate, and what this plate does is it forms the sort of the piece of the rocketry that is very familiar for us. You know, that sort of missile kind of look. And then of course we have the piece we just talked about, and that will go on like this. And then of course you've got your rear cone, which forms the bottom of this. Look at that. And there's a little plate that will go inside here that allows you to to finish that off. Now it does have a hole in it, so if you chose to and you wanted to light that element, you certainly could. You certainly could. And we're going to be putting lights in this, so rest assured there are all kinds of opportunities, and we'll go through them. And of course, what I love about this is on the next page, he's showing you what you need to end up with. Okay, so that's 4, and 5 is now showing you this angle, and 6 is showing you what it looks like from the other side, from the rear, and that's what that finished piece looks like. Then what you do is you go on to the next step, and in the next step you have these elements, and this is what John was referring to, these segmented triggers. And so we've got all of these, and they're going to live in a certain direction. And so what he wants you to do is orient it so that you're not lost. So this is the orientation that he wants, very clean, right? And then he wants these elements, which are these referred to as number 9. He wants you to start at either side of, and I'll put a couple on here so we can see what they look like, but he wants you to start on either side of those and work your way around, and you'll start to get this design. And then on the sides you're going to get this element, which will sit like this. And of course what connects to that is this rather familiar kind of element here, which feels very much Trekkian. And there are 2 of those. So all of that has to be installed, and what you get, whoops, let me just organize myself correctly here so I don't get messed up. What you get is this. Beautiful. And then here is the next piece with these wonderful details that we just talked about, these sort of very Trekkian details, and I love it. So ultimately, the amount of detail on this is extraordinary. Now you've got a lot of silvers and coppers. The business end of this, you can very much put, you can put some heat, some scorch marks on it, which I'll probably do just to give it a little drama, some blue metaling effects. Allclad makes some fantastic stuff that will give us that sort of heated metal look, and then we'll sort of detail some of this stuff out. But mostly the business end of this is a few areas of copper, a little bit of red in these indentations, and then the rest of it is in the metallics. And then of course the next thing we go to is the main body of that, and here this is. And if this is oriented correctly, you can see that it's got these wonderful elements to it. And so interestingly enough, there's a little bit of sort of Apollo-esque missile white here, with perhaps even some black, not sure. I'm going to think about that, but obviously your nacelles retract into this element here, and so they'll pop out, and that forms the body of the Pheonix. And then as you move forward up the sort of up the ladder, as it were, you've got these wonderful elements here that I think it's this way around, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it's this way. You've got these wonderful elements that sit here like this. And then, of course, behind that, you have got the rear section of the cockpit area, and there is some detail here. So if you wanted to drill these out, if you wanted to go crazy, you can put some fiber optics in these and some Twinkies. I may do that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I can figure out how to not go crazy. Here. Of course, that's what this should look like. And then you go to the cockpit, and the cockpit it's all printed for you in clear. Now, you can skip this if you wanted to black out your cockpit windows. Here's the cockpit. If you wanted to black these out, you could skip all of it. But it's designed in such a way that even if you wanted to, you could leave this loose and you could pull this off to have a detailed look inside the cockpit. I don't think I'll do that, because those of you who know me know I do not like to play with my models as toys. But it's a brilliant idea, because a lot of people are talented enough to be able to gently slip this off and show you the inside of it. But I think we'll see enough through these cockpit windows to at least get a sense of what's going on in there. At least that's what I think. Oftentimes I tend to change my mind as I move through these kits, but that's perfectly legal. You can everybody's entitled to change their minds, but I just love the detail on this. I just think it's extraordinary, and I am just so excited to be working with this. Now, going back to the cockpit here for a second, there's clear parts, and let's look at those clear parts. Here is your cockpit, and we've got these wonderful chairs. I'm not going to put them all in, but I'll show you here the Zefram Corchran chair at the controls, and I'll show you that here. Very nice. And then we've got, I'll put that away, and we've got other segments. We've got this piece, which has control surfaces in the ceiling of it, and it's all clear, obviously, so it can be lit. And that sits beautifully. I mean, it just all fits so beautifully, like such. And then you've got a piece here that I'm going to just get a clear piece of. Now, there is a buck, but I'm not printing it. I'm going to just get a clear piece of plastic sheeting. I've got some super clear stuff, and I'll just wrap that around, and that'll work perfectly in there. But if you wanted to, you could certainly put the buck in, because the buck stops there. Sorry. Okay. So then we would. You can slide this in, and I'm showing you obviously how this slides into the cockpit like that, and that's what it looks like inside. And you can see where your windows go. Now, of course, it would be handy if it was in the correct way, but that's just me. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, now it's in the right way. But there's plenty of opportunity to see in here. You're going to see all of these panels, and there is plenty of room underneath here to run your wires. And they've even created they've even thought about that, so you can bring nano chips or whatever fiber optics. You can bring those through. into the nose, and you can light up these control surfaces, and I think we might very well do that. We might very well do that, because I think it's I think it's going to be worth it. So that is 14, and then of course, following on as we do, he shows you how all of these things come together, and we've got this wonderful piece here, this which is identified in red, and that is that piece there we get, and here's the corresponding piece. So we've got lots and lots of detail here, lots of fun stuff to do, and then of course this is the fun bit where it shows you how you can actually just attach it like this, leave it clear, and then leave this loose so that it can slide off and you can take a look inside. The only reason, now I have to see if I can find perhaps some figures of that scale to put in there. You know, we need Corchran, and we need Frakes sitting in the back there with his companion, and so that I have to think about, because I'm going to have to see if I can source those. And of course, as he does, he shows you the cockpit, and this is what it looks like, and you have a choice. You can either use the windows or not use the windows, but either way this will slip over here beautifully, and you can leave that together. Here are the armatures for the nacelles, and there are two versions of this. There's one version where you leave the armature with pins in it, and it will retract or not retract. And then there's a fixed position as well. And there that is. And then of course you have the nacelles themselves. And in looking at a nacelle here, which are beautifully detailed, you get all the clear parts you need to put. I think this is some kind of a. I assume this is the chiller grill area, because I mean that's what it is on every other nacelle, right? It's the chiller grill. But anyway, that's printed in clear, like that, so we can get some light behind that. Most likely I'll use blue, but we could use any color we want. It depends. It's entirely up to you. But that clear part is provided, and of course the other part here is the let's see here. No, it's this end. Okay, got to get the ends right. That goes on like that, and then you've got holes pre-drilled for your 3 mils, and you could even put a 5 mil in the middle if you wanted to, and you could have different colors, and you could get that going like a Passard collector should. And of course there's the jewel, the red jewel that goes in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how to make this work, how to light this up and make this look like it's alive. So I'm working on that right now. So that'll be exciting. And of course the rear end, the business end of this, has this wonderful Trekkian looking scoop, which will sit in here. These can be lit as well, probably with a single white, and they are corresponding jewels for that clear piece that is pre-drilled, so that you can get your light in there, and that will drop nicely into the bottom like that. And that looks like that. Like that. So let me just organize that, and that takes care of that. And then of course it shows you here, the finished piece, how it all goes together, and what it looks like when it's finished. And of course, this is the decision you make to either allow it to be retractable or not retractable. You can have it either way you want it. And a wonderful explanation of how it all gets attached. Very, very simple, very clean. And of course, this is your finished model. And with the model, you get an inventory to go through and make sure you have all the pieces that you need, which is always greatly appreciated. So the amount of thought that's gone into this, it's a really class act. You know, it's how every third-party kit should come to you. You know, it shouldn't just be a bunch of stuff in a box and good luck, in my opinion. So there you go. That is the model. Now, there is going to be a bigger scale size of this, I understand. He's working on that, so it'll be much more substantial, and I'm sure a bunch of you will want to tackle that one. But given the real estate issues that I have here, I didn't want to have serious negotiations with Mrs. Spruverse about where to put something. I need to try to get all of my Trek models together in one area. Okay. Thrilled you're along on this ride with me. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of the Spruverse universe. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. I'm going to go get these sanded up, primed up, and then we'll start tackling some of the sub-assemblies. So I went ahead and did a couple of things because it started to get a little crazy around here for me personally, and so I wasn't able to really spend the time that I had hoped I could spend on details, but you've missed absolutely nothing. Let me tell you what we have here. We've talked about getting things sub-assembled. Now, this has all been primed, and I have both arms in. Now, let me tell you, this was the tricky part. I drilled into let me show you here. I drilled into the underneath of here. I made a hole just wide enough that I could take all of my lights. Now what I have here is I have from Ralph over at Tenor Controls, I have his 1/1000 Bassard Collector effect for the 1/1000 Enterprise, and I've used that in here. I've used a cool white in the back. Let me get out of here. And I've used cool whites in the back on both sides, and they'll get a white crystal. These will get the Bassard collectors will get the red crystal, and then in the center here, I have put just a small strip of the blue SMDs, and they are working quite nicely. So let's do a quick fire up here of the lights, so we can take a look at that. And what I did was there was a clear piece that we saw earlier that came with the kit. I put a little bit of thin styrene behind it that I use for diffusion. It's very good. I'll show you what it is. It's just a simple, it's a milky card, and if I stick a flashlight behind it, you can see how effective it is at diffusion. And of course, the further away your light is, your source is, the more diffused this is. But it's just a thin sheet of styrene that's milky colored, and it's fantastic. You can get it at you can get it online, eBay, Amazon. They have them, and this is probably I would say 010 in thickness. Okay. And so that went behind, and it's created a really lovely source. I've been sort of pulling wires through here, but I want to be able to show you this. Okay, so now the way I pull my wires is I pull them with just a little bit of guitar string, and I wrap them with I wrap them onto the piece that I'm pulling, and I just touch it with a little bit of CA glue, and it works like a charm, and it gets everything pulled through. And I couldn't be without it. You know, it's like an electrician's fish tape. That's what it is, and it's very successful, and I highly recommend it. Okay, let me just here. Okay, let me just grab some wire cutters here. Just pull these, and we'll be able to take a quick look at this. Now I'll just tie these together so I don't have to think about which one goes where. And of course, with the Bussard collector, one of the difficult things is you've got these 4 wires that go to the board, the little board. And there's no way to reduce that down. You've got to pull all those wires. So you've got 4 on each side. That's 8 plus the rest of them. And it's a lot of wire that's got to go through, but it works. Okay, so here it is. It's a lovely soft effect. It works really well. It's beautifully diffused, and I couldn't be happier with that. And of course, you've got your cool white. You've got your cool white on the back here, and that's not in position obviously yet, but it will be. So that's your cool white for the back. You've got your soft chiller grill there, and then you'll have your Bussard collector effect here. So that worked out really well. That's a result, and I could not be happier. Couldn't be happier. That's gonna work out really well. And it took me a little bit of finessing to just pull all the wires through, but they're through. And you can see here, it's a chunk of wire, and there's no way around it, but I'll put a little sock on that and that'll disappear, so that'll just become black. And I pulled those through on both sides, and then I've glued those together, and that's my sub-assembly. So now this is ready for its first coat of paint, and what I'm going to do is, after I mask my lights, obviously, I'm going to hit this with white, and I'm going to get that finished, because that will take care of the indents here that are white. And then I'll hit these 2 areas here with white, and then there are areas within those that are supposed to be black, and I'll do that on both sides, and that will take care of the first base coat, as it were, of the kit. And then of course, I think that ultimately that will take care of the lighting. Now there is an opportunity to put some lights into this cockpit. There's a skirt that goes on here like this with a lovely motif on it, and then your cockpit goes on top of that like this. And so there is a legitimate amount of open space in there, and you could see something. Now the thing of it is pulling that wire through to here, I've got just enough room to do it. And so I'm probably going to get some light in there, but I don't think I'm going to get any twinklies in there or anything like that. I just don't think I will. Just simply because it's cramming too many lights into there. Now, there is another issue here that I want to quickly just go over with you, and that is that I'm just wrapping this here so that I keep my chunks separate. There we go. The other the other issue that you have is that Ralph's boards operate on they take 5 volts. I mean, you can run them at 9, obviously, and they step down. But what I have found, and maybe someone in the comments can suggest something. Now, I know there's a step down board I can put, but it's too large to put in my base. It's just too large, and I don't want to have to go down into another base and hide that. I'll show you what I've got. This is the base that comes separate, and I have put it together. It's a PLA print for this section here, and it goes together with screws, machine screws that you can pick up very, very simply, and they're in the bottom, and the whole thing has screwed together. And I have two-toned this with some hammered steel and hammered black paint, and my plan is to hide my Ralph board in this section here, along with 2 9-volt batteries. One 9-volt battery will run that board, and the other 9-volt battery will run my SMD strip lights that like to be powered at 9 volts. And they need every ounce of juice, otherwise they don't work. And this needs to be that chiller grill needs to work. It can't fade. So I'm just going to run a couple of 9 volts and set them in here. No harm, no foul. And I've got a plate that goes on here. That is, I'm still working on it, but it's over here. And this plate's got some magnets on it, and that connects to that like that. And I'm going to put a gold trim around it, and I'll pull out the lettering. But it's a beautiful base. It does not come with this kit. You have to order it separately. But it is available from 8K Miniatures. Just tell Sean that you want the base, and he'll take care of you. So that's the base, and here's the lettering that came with it. Now you can get this completely customized for yourself. This is so cool, and it's a little dark right now, so I'm not sure if you can. Oh yeah, you can read this. Look at this. Now I haven't finished this yet. It's going to get gold trim, and obviously I'm going to pull out the letters with some white paint. But it says there, you can see it in the light. The Pheonix Award presented to Spruverse for piloting a ship faster than the speed of light. How awesome is that? That is so cool. What a great touch. And if this is a gift for somebody, you can have their name put here. You can have anything you want put on there within reason. I'm sure he can get on there for you. But basically a name of somebody, the person who's building it, or the name of their channel, or whatever. It's a great, great touch. And it's very, very much appreciated. Okay, so what's going to happen now is I'm going to just get my mounting hole situated on the base. I'm going to do that right now, and then after I've done that, we're gonna work on some paint, and so that'll be the next thing we do, is just get this painted up. It's not a complicated build. It's not a complicated build, but it's rich in details. Rich in details. So I just could not be happier than to have the first ship that went to warp speed in my collection. Whether whether you're a Trekkie or not, if you followed the films at all, or you follow the universe and you build Star Trek kits, you gotta have a Pheonix in your collection. You just got to, because it's the ship that launched it all. So could not be happier to have this in my collection. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to figure out how this is going to sit on the base. We'll take a look at that, and then we'll go from there. Okay, this went together like a charm. What a beautifully engineered piece. And I'm not paid to say that. It sits on the model absolutely beautiful. What a great way to present this this model. I don't know why you would want to put it in some kind of a standing position unless you were going to try and do a diorama about it being in the silo, in which case you would want to use the alternate arms that allow you to fold this into the model. Now you certainly can do that. These are set up and designed to be hinged, and they're all engineered to be hinged. But I'm doing it in the flying position because, as I say ad nauseum, I don't play with my models. They're pieces of art. They're not toys. That takes nothing away from anybody who likes to show how doors open or reveal things to look inside. I'm all for it. Please don't get me wrong. This is just these are just my personal opinions. They're not facts. They're never facts. Okay, so the way this is engineered is you get these little offsets here, and you are given very clear instructions on how they're mounted. I've just added a little bit of color to them just to make them pop, and eventually everything else will look like this on the plates, so this will all blend together quite nicely. And then you're going to use, and it's in the instructions, but you're going to be using some M3 screws. I got this kit here, and it's I think I got this off of Amazon for what, $10, something like that, and it does call for some 25s, and it calls for some 15s, but I could only get 16, but they work just as well. And they're really they're an excellent thing to have. But what I love about these more than anything is just the engineering of them, and the way they're finished with a little hex nut inside this beautifully rounded top, and it just makes for a really professional and beautifully finished piece. And you can see how they sit quite nicely in the indents. Okay, so that is the standoff done. The next thing that has to happen is I'm going to have to get my hole driven for how my wires are going to drop into the base. Now, the great thing about this is the base is designed in such a way that all your wires will drop into here, no problem. You can put a rather large card in here if you actually wanted to. The reason why I don't want to use my step down is because I don't want to put a tail on this and run it somewhere. I just don't. I don't want, I don't know. It's just the way my head works. But shelves lined with models that have got tassels dangling down to extension cords is not my idea of a good time. I'm a little more anal Virgo about that, so I like things to be as concealed as possible, and the less wiring the better. So that's why I'm going to go with just a couple of 9 bolts in the base here, and we'll be good as gold because it's so beautifully engineered. It's just perfectly designed for it. Okay. A quick jump in here to talk about this cockpit. Now, it deserves a little bit of TLC. If we look at the nose cone here, let me get you in close to the nose cone. There is an opportunity here to I believe, display this without connecting the nose cone completely. you can certainly do it. There's ways to do it. You could do it with some magnets. There's definitely an opportunity here to do that. However, I will not be doing that. That's not me. What is me is to get some light in here, because if I shine a light in here, you can see. I mean, and obviously I'm blowing it out with this flashlight. If I pull it away, you can see that it packs a punch, and it wants to be lit. Now, if I go with just white light, it doesn't feel right. It feels like it wants to be moody, like blue. It wants to be blue, and there is the clear parts, which are beautifully done, give you several opportunities. The first opportunity you've got is there's a screen here. There's a screen right there in the center. You can barely see it, but it's there. We can get a transparency on that. And then there are some indents on these control surfaces. So we could tape those off, and we can get some. We can dry brush some clears on there, and we can get some color on this. And that would allow you to just sort of backlight this a little bit, because there's also there's side panels here, and there's a ceiling piece that we've talked about before, and that has an opportunity for some lights too. And if you recall that great scene where you've got Geordie LaForge, you've got Riker, and you've got Zefram Corchran in this cockpit, and they're off, and they have got to get to warp drive. They've got a 5-minute window to do this, and it's a great scene because sort of the tension line builds with, obviously, with Corchran worried that he'd forgotten his rock and roll music chip. That gets in, and off they go, and they fire up. But it's interesting because both LaForge and Riker have some buttons and switches to push, as does Corchran. So they try to get everybody involved. And because of that, sitting in the rear, because you had Riker and LaForge in the rear, they had 2 seats together, and then you had the single seat in front. And I'll just point out that it makes a lovely tableau when you're shooting. But anyway, great fun. So all these clear parts with a rear wall in the back that also has this cutout to let your light your wiring go through here. So I think we have to do this. And given the fact that we've got the ability to do it, we've got the juice to do it, the fear I've got now is just getting these wires pulled down, but I think we should be able to do it. We've got just enough room to do it. We've got to be careful, and I think we have to be judicious here about how we go about doing this. Now, the way this works is, and let me get you back into the close-up position here. The way this works is inside you've got you just simply push this down, and it sits on it sits on this tray. Now it's beautifully designed, and you can see we've got plenty of room to pull your wires, so no problem there. And you should have enough room in the cone to get these screens lit, so that's going to work. And then of course you've got this piece, which has more control surfaces on it, and that is going to sit like this. It's going to sit like this, but the way it works is this piece here slides in the top like that. Okay, that slides in the top, and then that allows your other piece to sort of sit here, and it should see here. There is a, yeah, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It's a little tight, but it is supposed to, there it is. It's supposed to sit, and it will. I think it will. I mean, it's a little off, but you know, all's fair in love and war. We'll make it fit. It doesn't sit cleanly in there, but it will. Okay, and that then gives you the whole interior of the cockpit, and then of course you'll see the seats. And I'm here to tell you that if I shine a light in there now, you can see that there's a lot to see. Now, so I'm at this point now where I want to do this. I want to do this. So all I need to do is think about the colors I want. What is the color palette I want? Because that is going to make a huge, it's going to make a huge difference here. And I'm sort of at this point now where I want to make sure that I don't, you know, I don't want to blast anybody. We don't need to blast anybody, but we do need to make sure that we can see in, and we've got some color. There we go. It's around the right way now. I'm telling you, I've said this 1,000 times. Deaf, dumb, and stupid. What a way to go through life. But anyway, it fits beautifully. I mean, and I would expect nothing less now of Sean Homer over at 8K Miniatures. Nothing less, because he has put this bar too darn high. Too darn high. The only criticism I have to date so far, Mr. Homer, and if you're listening, and James, if you are too, is we need to get some corresponding holes in the other side of the armature that goes into the belly of this, and we need to think about the structure in here just to make pulling wires a little better, and then perhaps a piece that you could add to the belly of this, which is like a greebly or something, and there's a pre-existing hole, and if you choose to mount it the way I am, then you would not use that greebly, but if you wanted to, you would put the greebly over it. Now I know that's asking a lot, but not really. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is think about the light that I want, and I think what I want to do is I want to go white. I think I'll go warm white so that I can put some clears, some Tamiya clears on all the switches, and that warm white will go behind the control panel in front, and we might also put something in the back here, because this little let's see, it goes like that. This skirt sits on here, and there's plenty of room in the back here. When the skirt is on, there's plenty of room back here to get a little 8050 strip SMD in there. We could also, if we wanted to, we could get some fiber optics in here, guys. We could, and we could get some blinkies going on in the back. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my Evans Design blinky lights and see if I've got anything that will work for this. It's magnet wire, so it should be relatively easy to feed through. Okay, I've got some masking from an old set, and I'm starting to mask off. I've masked the screen off, and now I'm masking off some of the control surfaces before I hit this with some light blocking color, and then dry brush it with some silvers, because that's what it was. It was black, silvers, and some chromes. And I've also got a you can get these in bulk from eBay. I get mine from eBay. they're for fiber optics. You know, I just get a bundle of them. I think like a couple of bucks, and you get like 25 or 30 of them, and you just stick your fiber optic material into it. It has a light, and you know, you can get all kinds of stuff. You can get breathers, you can get flashes. I'm just having lights on because otherwise it's just too much. And I've got a lot of them here, a lot, probably more than I need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a micro drill into the rear of my back panel here, and I will just I will drill these out, and I'll hit these up. And then what I can do is I can come back, and I can hit these with a little bit of light blocking and some Tamiyas, and I can get those get those lit up. Now you don't want to do too many because you don't want it to look ridiculous, but I think we can have a lot of fun with this. So so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue to mask away at this. I've only got a couple more panels I want to do, and then after I've done my panels, which I can't help myself. There's something about Lou's masks that are so therapeutic. I can't tell you. There's just so much fun to use. And but anyway, so there is that. So I'm just dropping these down on here just to sort of mask off the areas I don't want to hit with black. And so I'm doing that. I'll do a few more, and then that way we can light that up. So I think between my fiber optics in the back and my warm light in the front, which I can just go ahead and pick out what I want to pick out. Now nothing is going to flash in there, but I think it's okay. It's just the fact that you'll look in the cockpit and you'll see that it's on, that there's warmth in there, and I think that's important. Don't have any figures, sadly. But who knows? Maybe we can find a couple of people, because I know it drives a lot of you crazy when there's no one sitting in the seats. I think I might have the right scale for this. Might have, thanks to Keith over at Cosmic Scale. I don't know. I'll take a look at my stash and see what I've got. But this is going to be fun. So we'll get all of this in, and then before we close it up, we'll get that window in there. And then that'll have to be masked, but that's okay. It's a little time consuming, but hey, I think it's worth it. Got the micro drill out, and I'm going to push a few holes through here for my fiber optics, and that'll give us a little bit of light in the back. I don't know how much of this we're going to see, but I'm determined to see a little bit, and I'll put. Now I can't get these exactly on the switches, just because in order for me to do that, I'd have to actually put this in the Proxon drill, and the difficulty with that is that if you're not careful, you'll just start snapping a whole bunch of these little drill bits. They're not expensive, but I don't have a lot left at the moment, and it's no big deal to not get exact. You know, we'll dry brush these and give them a little bit of, but there'll be enough eye candy here. You can see already that the light's coming through, and so I'm going to do a few more of these, just sort of sporadically in the back here. And then I'll do the same here. I'll do the same here, just for some light. But I've masked all of this, so when I pull these and I hit a light from the back, we should be in pretty good shape. And then I can just I can get some Tamiya clears on those, some blues, yellows, greens, that sort of a thing. And that should be pretty good. So I think that'll be all there is. I might put just a soft blue up here, just to give it some warmth, so that the cabin is alive. I don't want it to be like, I don't want your eye to be pulled to it, but I want you to know that the lights are on, but no one's home. All right, I'll I'll do all of this, and then the next thing I want to do is I want to get a coat of paint on the actual cockpit itself, assuming I can remember where I put it down. So I have the fiber optics in the rear wall. So let's take a look at that. Just basic setup, and what I'll do is when this is dry, I will cut these down and I'll just add a little bit of the Tamiyas just to give some colors, some blues and greens and that sort of a thing, so they're not all white. That's what it looks like in the back. You can see I have a few that I don't need, but I'll just trim those off. But that's a success, and then we'll dry brush that and get some steels on there and some other colors. So I'm very happy with that. Just going to set that aside to dry overnight, which it will do. And then all I've got to do now is got to remove these screens here. Let's see here, which are now clear, so I can get some light behind that screen there. That's looking good. And these here. And then we'll just get some Tamiya clears on these, and we'll just take a look and see what kind of a light we've got here. But I think we should be in pretty good shape. Let's see here. There's one there. Okay, I think that's everything. So if I hit a light behind that, you can see we've got plenty of light, and that is an absolute success. Super happy with that. We'll find an appropriate screen for that. I've got some old screens, just clear translights. I've got a few of those left from another build, so I'll get a screen in there for sure, and we'll get some light back there, and we'll get some color on that, and then I can dry brush this and get the seats in, and then I think that will give us a little bit of light in the front and in the back, and I might just do a very, very, very soft blue light, maybe hidden in the corner on the floor, just to give it some more ambience. I don't want too much. It needs to be very subdued. But I'm happy I've got light in the cockpit. Here is my dome, and I've used something called bare metal silver light. This is a Tamiya color, and so what I wanted to do was just let's see, here it is. I just wanted to sort of turn this the right way up, get my my skirt on here, drop on my top, and you can start to see that this is really coming together, and I think that bare metal silver is the way to go. So everything else now, from the base down, I'm going to cover everything, and I'm going to hit it with its whites. I'm going to get those whites sealed. I'll get a clear coat on those whites, and then when I know that that's thoroughly dry, then I can start going in with the silvers and the blacks and everything else, because black is not going to be an issue, and the silver isn't going to be an issue. It's the white that I want to try and look after. Okay, I think that is more than enough for this update. I'm going to continue just to sort of play with my lighting. When we come back in part 2, I'm going to sort of start to get the color on, and we'll build that color up over the show, and we should be able to get this finished in the next episode. I'll do a little bit of prep so that you don't need to spend the next 20 years of your life watching me airbrush. But color is really important on this thing, and you know, to get it right is important. But super happy with it. Really happy with it. It's a fun build, and I'm so thrilled I have it. Okay, so we'll call that a wrap for part 1 of Build the Pheonix. This is a 3D printed kit available from 8K Miniatures. It is a Robert James design. You can either go to Robert James's Facebook page. I'll give you all the information in the description below, but you can go there and pick up your files. Or you can go straight to Sean over at 8K Miniatures and say, hey, Sprueverse sent you. Print me up a kit. I want to buy one of these. And he'll do a beautiful job for you. I absolutely promise you will be thrilled. Great. Detail is crisp and clean. And it really came out beautifully. Okay, so if you are of a mind, I've now got a Buy Me a Coffee link on my channel page. That's to help me with some of my charitable builds that I'm doing behind the scenes. I've talked about this before, but it's gotten to a point now where I really think we can do some good work here and help some folk out who can no longer build. I can't do everybody's models, as I've said, but I can build a few, and it would be really nice to know that all of us have contributed to making sure that everybody who enjoys this hobby can at least experience it or have a piece for themselves. And even if you just wanted to buy me a cup of coffee because you say, hey Phil, you know what? I like you. I like your content. That would be greatly appreciated as well. But hey, if you want to drop me a line, I'm sprueverse@gmail.com, and you can follow my my in the weeds photographs that I post pretty much daily on my Instagram channel. I'm at Sprueverse. But hey, as always, I wish all of you, please be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you in part 2. Take care, everybody. Be well.